Else is awesome?
What?
Nerds are awesome.
Exactly.
I had butter gooey cake last night. Is that what you call it? Gooey butter cake? I'm gonna lose my toes before I leave St. Louis!
Dang.
Hi. Can't compete with that. So my name's Adam. Adam Corlick. I've been doing YouTube stuff for like 14, 15 years. We're both old. We've been around. Lately I've just been kind of traveling with this thing, the Sega Pluto prototype, which you guys can go check out over there if you want to. Play it, talk about it, but I'm assuming you mostly just want to do like a Q&A type of thing.
Yeah, so I have some questions for you. Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about the Sega Pluto first.
Okay, go for it.
So tell me the history of this machine.
Right, so the Sega Pluto was an upgraded version of the Sega Saturn that Sega was working on. We actually just got an information dump about that. I don't know how out there noticed this. Like a month and a half ago, there was this big Sega document leak from so in there was actually a whole bunch of information we didn't know. Like they were planning to release it in 1997 for $550. If you're familiar with Xbox Game Pass, the plan was to do that with the Saturn.
Right.
So this thing has a built-in modem, built-in hard drive, and they had actually contacted a bunch of companies like CompuServe and NetZero at the time to build the entire infrastructure. But the problem was that it was Sega of America saying, the internet is the future, like we should do this. And Sega of America had the power to force Sega of Japan to physically build this. And Sega of Japan was like, the internet is a fad, it's not going to be a thing. We have the power to deny it from being allowed to be released. So this thing was just kind of born of the relationship of those two guys hating each other. So this one in particular, they only made two of them. This one showed up in the Sega of America office back in like '96. And then somehow magically lifted out of their office and showed up in a flea market in 1999 where a buddy of mine named Roger found it as a kid. The guy selling it, we're pretty sure, was a former Sega employee, and he was only asking $5 for it. And Roger talked him down to $3.
Oh, nice.
So he got sold it for $3. And the only reason Roger bought it is he thought, oh, this is pre-Google, pre-smartphone. So he's like, oh, that's just a Japanese Saturn. That's what they look like. Which is not true at all, but that's what he thought. And so he tried putting Japanese games in it. They didn't do anything because it's region locked to the US. And he just thought it was broken, threw it in a shoebox, and that was about it for like 20 years. Until the Japanese one showed up, and everybody was freaking out, like, what is this thing, what's the story? And Roger goes to the internet, he's like, I have one. Nobody believed him, he proved it. And then he started getting, because it's the internet, he started getting death threats over owning something like this.
Sure, of course.
And so he's like, I live a drama-free life, I have no interest in this, so he puts it back in the shoebox. I meet him, and he's like, do you care about this? I was like, yes, I care about this. So eventually, long story short, he let me borrow it. He's like, travel with it, I don't care. You're already doing cons and events. If you think people will care about this, go for it. So I kind of do this for the late Terry Diebold, the guy who had the Nintendo PlayStation, which I know he came to Mogamecon once. He would he taught me a lot about how to do this type of thing, and all of a sudden I'm kind of doing that in his memory.
Dude, that's an incredible story. So, okay, is it backwards compatible to play Dreamcast games?
It just plays Sega Saturn stuff. Think of it like PS4 to PS4 Pro. It was like an upgraded version, but again, prototype. So like, what else it theoretically could have done, we're not totally sure.
Exactly, right.
Ben Heck took this one apart, and he deduced that it had like additional RAM in it, but what does it do? We don't know. You know, there's a couple of oddball things in it, but again, prototype.
I have a Steam Deck, I guess that's my claim to fame.
That's your claim to fame? I'm a Steam Deck, okay.
Yeah. No, I every time, we've done a couple of cons before, and every time I've wanted to hear the story, so I'm really glad to share it.
I'm happy to do it.
Follow-up question.
Okay.
How are babies made? Because I heard it's when a mommy and a dad. Okay. Hi guys.
Birds and the bees. Yeah.
So I do like to do a Q&A, but we're glad to take your questions. But I'd like to prep a little stand-up real quick, okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
You guys like video games? Round of applause if you like video games.
Yeah!
What's your favorite video game? I bet you can guess by looking at me. My favorite game is Pac-Man. When I was a kid, they were really worried about video games. They're saying, video games that shape the person you are. I guess if you play GTA, you become a killer, right?
Right.
My favorite game is Pac-Man. I don't know. Let's see, Pac-Man is round. He's always eating pills all the time. No, I can't do that. He's chased by ghosts of his past. God damn it, I'm Pac-Man!
He eats a lot of fruit.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not
Yeah,
Pac-Man.
see, that's the loophole. There you go.
That's the loophole, yeah. I did get my first tattoo. It's a gaming tattoo. This is a Pac-Man tattoo. I got it done by, anybody know Rob Zombie? Anybody know who Rob Zombie is? His guitarist. Owns a tattoo shop down in Branson. Did you guys know this, Mr. Riggs? And he gave me this tattoo. And I walked into a shop, and he's like, "You're that YouTuber that's been around?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." And I'm like, "How much for a tattoo?" He goes, "If you put it in the video, it's free." I said, "I will put it in a video, Mr. Riggs. I can't wait to have Mr. Riggs put a tattoo on me. It's going to be great, Mr. Riggs." And Mr. Riggs is like, "Apprentice, come tattoo this man. I am too fat for Mr. Riggs to touch." But if you ever get a chance to go there, Monster Tattoo, Branson, they have his gold records on the wall. I was very excited about it. But I have been playing video games since most of you were alive. My first gaming system was an Atari 2600. I have owned pretty much every gaming console ever since then. I don't really get into retro games because I played that shit when it was new. Okay? I don't need to go back and play it. I beat it when you were 3. And you want to ask any questions about life, the universe, things around us that are interesting, video games, my history with gaming, YouTube, or how babies are made. No one will tell me.
I saw you go first.
Do you collect video games? And if so, what's your favorite collection?
So I collect Magic the Gathering cards, and if you know anything about Magic the Gathering cards, that means I can't afford to collect anything else. I've been opening Magic packs since 1994. My first starter deck was a unlimited starter. I had an Earthquake and a Rare Island, for the people asking. And then my first booster pack was Antiquities. I've been collecting for that game for 38 years. But that means I am effectively gaming broke. I can afford everything else, but if I'm spending something, it's probably going to be on a pack of Magic cards. That said, if I was going to collect, I want to recapture my childhood, man. The NES. When they put that system, here's my NES story, and I love this story. So I played the Atari 2600. That was a gaming console. The games were simple and fun, and I was pretty addicted to them. But then, I got a little bit older, and I'm like kind of tired of video games. I'm outdoors playing a lot more. I discovered that women exist, so I'm excited about that. None of them will talk to me, but hey, maybe one will one day. We'll see. And I go over to my friend's house, and he's got a Nintendo Entertainment System. And he got the one with Rob the Robot, Gyromite, and all that stuff. And he had a lot of black cartridge games, black box games. And I'm like, these are fine. I just nothing really record-setting. That Mario game was fun, but I beat that in one day, setting his house, right? So I'm all right. I'll never need a Nintendo. And then one day I went over to his house, and he had this gold cartridge setting on top of his NES. And I said, "Well, what is that?" And we put it in, and it was Legend of Zelda, and that game broke me. I sat down. I was like a rabid dog with a chew toy. He was like smacking the controllers, like, "Down, bad boy, bad one. Let me beat it, let me beat it." Well, the thing that really got me was he was on like Dungeon 4, and I told him, like, "Oh, try bombing that wall." And he bombed it, and that's where he needed to go. And I felt smart, and it made me feel good and happy. And I went home, and I'm like, "Mom, I need a Nintendo." She's like, "It was just your birthday." "Mom, I need a Nintendo. Please, Mom." Finally got one for Christmas. No Zelda. Super Mario. No Duck Hunt. I didn't even get Duck Hunt, okay? I had Super Mario, and that was it. So every time we went to the store, I begged for Zelda. I would sit there, I would go, it doesn't matter what the department store was, I'd find the Nintendo system, I'd hold the box, because they didn't lock them up back then. I'd hold the box and I'd look at the back of it, and I'd read it, and I'd read it, and I'd look at the photos, and like, one day, Zelda, one day. So one day we're at a Rose's department store in Kingsport, Tennessee, and my mom is with her new boyfriend. And that new boyfriend really needed me to like him. So while we were in the store, I'm holding Zelda, I'm staring at Zelda. "I want Zelda, please." Mom says no again. And I go out to the car, and a few minutes later, out comes her boyfriend, and he reaches down the front of his pants and pulls out the Legend of Zelda that he had shoplifted for me. Needless to say, he got my approval, and I got to play Zelda. And I will say, who here has played Tears of the Kingdom? Have you played it yet? Right? A round of applause if you play Tears of the Kingdom. Woo! That's not just game of the year. That's game of a lifetime for me, because when I played Tears of the Kingdom, or even when I played the previous Zelda title, that felt like how the original Zelda felt for me. That was my childhood all over again. That open world, that free world, that beautiful, expansive, go where you want, do what you want, figure it out yourself, kid. All these modern games, and I think we can all agree, these modern games, I don't need you to hold my hand the entire game. If your tutorial is more than half an hour long, you've designed a bad game. Just let me play the game. That's what the original Zelda did, and that's what the two new Zeldas have done, and it recaptured that for me. And I love that Nintendo still trusts us to figure out the games like we did 30 years ago.
True.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate it.
I guess my response to that would be, it's funny, you and I were talking about this before, so Magic the Gathering's your big thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the irony is, I've never played it whatsoever, sorry.
Yeah.
But I voiced a character in one of the games. There's a mobile game called Mana Strike, and I voiced a character known as Soren.
Right.
And I was just making him super jealous over that, because I knew that would bother
I can't believe that. Here's how you know he's never played Magic the Gathering. The dude can afford health insurance. He probably has like a car.
Me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a car.
like fuck, dude. Magic. Oh.
Yeah, that's
The new Magic set, a box is $800. What is happening? How? Oh, when you priced a YouTuber out of your card game, you fucked up. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Look, that was kind of the end of the story. And to answer the actual question though, I think I'm most associated with the Sega Dreamcast. Like I had a very nostalgic situation with that where once Sega went defunct, when they were no longer making consoles, I kind of got nostalgic for them, even though I had bought a Dreamcast right away, and I was like, I kind of need to go back and get Dreamcast stuff. And especially because it all kind of started on the stupid rumor, I don't know if you remember this, but when the Xbox 360 came out, you know, they were doing original Xbox backwards compatibility with like updates. There was all these rumors that, oh, you can just update a console now to play old games, which was stupid. That's not exactly how it works, but the rumor was like, oh, Dreamcast games, they're gonna be compatible. And I bought into that like an idiot. But I did go around and be like, I better start rounding up Dreamcast games. So I ended up just getting really into that and being nostalgic for the fact that I really loved Sega growing up. And then I ended up getting a full set of the North American stuff. And I was like, well, that's cool, but it's not done. I went ahead and got all the European exclusives. Then I got all the Japanese exclusives. And I got all the indie stuff. And I still do that. Like, there's still new Dreamcast games that come out, and I make videos on each one of them. Because Dreamcast is my super fan collection. But I have full sets of a few random things like the Wii U, oddly enough the Jaguar CD. I'm one away from a Nokia N-Gage set.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, as bizarre as that is.
How do you hate yourself, huh?
I kind of, but like the only, I was like one of the 5 people on the planet that had an N-Gage when it was relevant.
Were you excited about it?
The N-Gage, not at all. No, actually, when the N-Gage came out, I was the only kid at the time who just actively didn't want a phone. My mom's like, you need a phone. I'm like, I don't want one. She's like, she comes home with an N-Gage. She's like, it plays video games. You're gonna like it. And I was like, fine. Never used it. Then they went out of business or stopped making it, supporting it. And then all of a sudden, GameStop's clearing all the games out for $1. And I was like, fine, whatever. Then find out now, games like Civilization are like $800. I'm like, I bought that in a clearance bin at GameStop for $1, and nobody gave a crap. So, collections, I mean, just go out there right now and look at the collections. Like, I think we're old enough now that we've seen some of this stuff and how much it cost when it came out and when we bought it. And it's like, I cannot believe you're charging $100 for a loose 32X.
Right, yeah.
You know, it messes with you. So I'm glad I'm a pack rat because I bought all that stuff when nobody cared and I held on to it. That's why when stuff like this excites me at this point.
Yeah, if I can give you one piece of advice in this room, and I'm telling you, I've learned a lot of things what not to do, so you can trust my advice, because I did a lot of shit wrong, okay? Do the opposite of me. But here's the one thing I've learned that is golden advice. You got a collection out there, you got a Pokemon collection, you got a Magic collection, you got a game collection, whatever you got, hold on to it, man, right? Don't sell at the bottom of the market. And it's one thing, I had the Power 9 in Magic the Gathering at one point. That's the Black Lotus, the 5 Moxen. These are the quintessential, these are the Charizards of Magic the Gathering, right? You own these cards. Well, Post Malone just bought a Black Lotus for $800,000 last year. And that's probably worth $1.2 million now, okay? So, I regret not having that card, but I sold it because my dad was sick and our family needed the money. That's fine. But don't sell it just because you're bored of it. Don't sell it because you're just tired of looking at it. Don't sell it because you're looking at space. Don't sell it because you want to go out to lunch. Hold on to it, because I promise you, even if you don't think it's worth it one day, it might end up being worth a small fortune, like those games that you have. But if not, I'll tell you as an older guy, when I clear out my closets, when I clear out my attic, and I see that piece of my childhood, I don't even care what it's worth. That memory is worth everything. So hold on to your stuff. Hold on to your stuff when you can.
Yes, this panel encourages hoarding.
Yes. Yes. Never throw away old food. It's still good. Live.
The bacteria are eating it. That means it's good enough for you.
Hoard animals. Get millions.
But what if it?
You have the next question. Go for it.
But what if the food is expiring? You still gonna eat?
Sorry, what?
What if the food is expiring? Still gonna eat?
I'm deaf.
I'm not hearing it.
Come up here.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, what?
We're
What?
old.
What if the food is expired?
Oh,
You
what
know,
if the food's expired?
Yeah, you still
well,
gonna
that's the point. That was
eat
a joke. Bacteria
Oh,
eating,
yeah.
it's good enough for you.
I'll still.
Was that originally your question that just timed out really well?
This is a funny question. But my real question is, what is your worst video games of all time?
Twisted Metal 3.
Twisted Metal 3?
That comes out of a holster for me. Yeah, I love Twisted Metal 2. Like, that was one of my childhood games where I'm like, I literally traveled to parts of the world to visit sites in that game. I went to Paris because I was like, oh, you can blow up the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe, and I was like, this is amazing to me. You know, there were places on this planet I physically visited because of that game.
Wow.
So when Twisted Metal 3 came out, and it was not by Single Track, it was by 989 Studios, who had no idea how to make a video game, that broke me. It's not necessarily the worst game that ever came out, but that was one of those childhood, like, I grew up a little bit moments. As soon as I played that game, I was like, oh, things in this world can suck. And that was the game that, like, I remember them, 989 specifically, being so bad that official PlayStation Magazine used to have a section of 989 Bug of the Month. Like at the bottom where there's like, here's a bug in their game that's game breaking. Here, just we'll always display screenshots. Like they made sports games and they'd be like, you know, here's a basketball game, the characters are about to tip off, and as soon as one tips off, the character would fly to the other end of the screen. And it was like, this is in the final release. That was how bad this company was. And they let them handle one of the premier franchises, which by the way, now has a show on Peacock. The fact that Sony let them do it is just stunning to me, and that will always, always sit with me.
Will Arnett, a sweet tooth. Did I need to watch it? So have you watched it?
No, I haven't. I'm just glad Twisted Metal is back in some fashion.
Yeah, I feel that. So one weekend, this is after I moved to Arkansas, and I finally started making friends in a new city, in a new state. And I made all my new friends playing Magic the Gathering, of course, and bonding over video games. And my friend Matt said, you know, he didn't say it this way, but this is what he was saying. We're rich. Do you want to come stay at our mansion for the weekend? And I said, please, yes. So we go to his place, and he's like, yeah, it'll be a good time. We'll play video games, we'll play Magic the Gathering, we'll go to the movies, you can check out my home theater, you're going to have such a good time. I'm like, I can't wait, Matt. We get to his house, and his brother's also home for the weekend, and he says, you want to play some Nintendo? And I'm like, yeah, let's play some Nintendo. They put in a very little known game called Solomon's Key. Have you heard of this game? Do yourself a favor, unhear of this game. Because they put it in, and it's a puzzle solving game. Very similar to like Gauntlet was, like you go forward to go backwards, and you have to like die on certain levels to discover certain secrets to get further ahead in the game. And that meant, we couldn't look it up on the internet at the time. There was no walkthrough at GameFAQs.com. That meant we were figuring it out. So we spent all of Friday night playing Solomon's Key. And all of Saturday night playing Solomon's Key. and all of Sunday morning playing Solomon's Key. That game ruined my entire weekend. And on top of that, it's just a shitty game. If you like it, you have bad taste. Worst game by far, actually screwed up my real life. That's how bad that game is.
Wow.
Who else got a question for us? In the back.
In all of your years doing videos, what is the honest interaction you've had with anybody in your comments?
Ooh.
I have an answer. Do you need a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have an answer. Okay. So, it's not a YouTube comment specifically, but it clearly came from the fact that I make YouTube videos. This is like 2012, 2013, the Wii U had been out for a little bit. What must have been a kid or someone who was just very slow, messaged me, he emailed me, and he was just like, hey, I need a Wii U. And I believe he referred to the fact that his parents wouldn't buy him one, and that he emailed Nintendo and they were unwilling to just give him one. So he was asking me if I would buy him one. And I was like, who is this? What are you talking about? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he's just like, I watch your videos, give me a Wii U. And I was like, no? And he's like, no, I have, and he made a proposal. We could make a deal. So this was the deal he had suggested. I screen capped this, because this day I look back at it and I'm just like, this is an amazing interaction. So he emails me back and he's just like, well, here's my proposal. So I know you have all these like old video games because I watch your videos. You know what you could do is you could sell those and you could use the money to buy me the Wii U. And I was like,
why?
yeah, exactly. And I was like, what? And I responded, I'm like, what are you talking? And he said, shut up, idiot, buy me the Wii U. Like, this was a real conversation that was going back and forth. And eventually I stopped because I was like, it stopped being funny and started just being really weird. But I think that might be one of the most benign but weird interactions I've ever had. But of course, carrying this thing around, I get a lot of people who are like, put it in a museum if you don't. And I'm like, you know what, it's you can buy it from the guy, and you could be the charitable person that donates it to a museum. They never acknowledge that part.
No.
They're always like, no, you should do it. I'm like, I don't own it.
You sacrifice everything.
Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of that. I've also got people think like, oh, you're destroying it. I'm like, by what? What am I doing to it that's destroying it? Look at it, it's being destroyed as we look at it.
Oh my God.
My eyes are gazing upon it, that's breaking it.
Oh my God.
You get a litany of stupid comments over the years doing YouTube, and I'm sure you've gotten way worse ones over time. But like, yeah, you get some bad ones.
So I've had every possible fan interaction there is at this point. And let me go ahead and say, everybody in this room, let's just be honest, we're all a little bit different. Are we comfortable with this knowledge? We're comfortable knowing that you're a little bit different? Because we're all different. Every human's different. Leonardo DiCaprio's different than everybody else, right? So of course you're different from everybody else. And we're different in the way that sometimes the internet can make fun of, or people can make us feel like shit over. I don't know, maybe you're a nerd, maybe you're on the LGBTQ spectrum, maybe you're this, maybe you're that, whatever. Doesn't matter. Whatever you are, just be the best you that you can be. That's all you'll ever be. And I will say that even the shittiest interactions I've had, they've been a pleasure in some way because that person's just being their fucking weird self. That said, I did have one very famous interaction that I got arrested for. That one is probably not one we'll bring up today, but I'll tell you along the lines of his. I went to the very last E3 2019 before COVID killed it.
Oh, I was there.
And that was awesome.
Hey, we should have hung out.
We should have hung out.
We should have hung out.
And so Kingdom Hearts 3 was on display, and I walked up to the booth, and I'm like, hey guys, I have like 30 minutes to squeeze in a demo. Can you get me in? And they're like, yeah, but you're gonna have to wait like everybody else. I'm like, okay, I am everybody else, so I'll wait. So I get set down in this queue area, and this guy sits down next to me with his iPad. And I'm like, hey. And he's like, hey. And I look on his iPad, and he's looking at adult-oriented My Little Pony stuff. And I say, hey, you probably shouldn't be showing that in public. He goes, well, I drew it. Okay, again, we are still in public. He goes, you're kind of a jerk. And I'm like, well, there's kids around, man. And he goes, you're that YouTuber, aren't you? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, I don't like your videos. I'm like, well, I don't like your videos. I don't like your drawings, dude. And then he persisted for the next 25 minutes to show me every photo he had ever taken. And I thought, better me than someone else, right? Like, I'll absorb your autism today, that's fine. We'll just do what nerds do. They call us up for our demo, and thank gosh, I get up, I've got my booth, I put my headphones on, and I'm playing through the Kingdom Hearts demo. But I'm in a hurry now, I've got to get up to the Cyberpunk room, because I've got a meeting there in like 8 minutes now. And I skipped through the 10 minutes of dialogue that they warned me was coming up, so that I could mostly focus on the gameplay. I can watch the talking on YouTube. I just need to see how the game plays to know whether or not I can recommend it as a game. So I power through my demo. I get a really strong feeling for the game. I check my phone. I've got 5 minutes to get upstairs. I take my headphones off and I lay them in front of me. And my new brony friend looks over and goes, "Where are we going?" And I said, "Well, I'm going up to CD Projekt Red's room to see their Cyberpunk demo." And he goes, "Let's go." I said, "You're not invited, man. I've been on that wait list for 6 months." He goes, "You could get me in. You're famous." "But why? Why would I get you in? You just told me you don't like me so that you could show CD Projekt Red your adult My Little Pony drawings. I'm not bringing that kind of poison with me today. I've had enough." That is arguably. So when I tell you to be your most authentic self, there's a time and place for it. That draw as much My Little Pony stuff as you want. That's what DeviantArt is for. Am I right?
Yeah, that's a good story.
Anybody else got another question for us? Anybody? Because if not, I'll just whiff. You have a question for me, what people are thinking.
Me?
Yeah.
How about we ask them?
Yeah, okay. How, when? Where? No, you got a question for me?
No. I was going to push that right back.
What's a really, okay, everybody on the count of three. On three. 3, 2, 1. We got 1, 2, 3, shout. That's how we're gonna do it. 1, 2, 3, shout. Where should we get dinner tonight? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Emos.
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 Who agrees with emos?
They're the locals, they'll know. Emos Pizza, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dave just volunteered to buy us emos. Round of applause for Dave.
Yay!
Are you calling me Dan? Oh, my name's not Dave. So
What the fuck's your name?
if anybody's named Dave, this is on you. My name's Adam.
Adam, I'm so bad with names.
But yeah, Dave, wherever you are.
Yes,
you
Dave!
Thanks, Dave.
Who the fuck are you?
My name's Adam. Why did you think my name was Dave? Where did that come from? This is a good story. Let's go on about this.
Okay, so,
It'd be like me calling you like Booger.
oh my God. Okay, who here's seen Revenge of the Nerds? Raise a round of applause for Revenge of the Nerds. People call me Booger to be mean? Thank you! Booger Dawson, one of the coolest characters in anything ever. So call me Booger.
Sure.
No, okay, so here's what you should know by now.
Okay.
My brain is garbage.
Okay. I'm not offended.
Yeah. So, I don't know anybody's name. Who, all right, for $1 million, who organized this convention?
Chuck Shaw.
There you go.
I would have had to check my phone, and I literally had dinner with a man last night. That's how bad I am.
I'm looking forward to that $1 million.
Any questions? Anybody got a question? How about you, Red Shirt? You got a question for us? You do? Okay. You know? Okay, I can answer that
He knows
question.
finger gun yet.
Finger gun. Let's talk about finger guns for a minute.
I
What
thought
do
you
you
do
want to
like
talk
this, like.
I don't know. This guy. Oh, there you go. Go for it.
What's the most pleasant experience you've had with a fan?
Pleasant.
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 I am.
Oh my goodness, this was so nice.
I've been friends with a fan for about a decade, and we are, as of a couple months ago, we are now dating.
Wow.
Wow.
You just stole my story. I was literally going to say.
High five. Team Dave.
Okay, well I can one up it still. Are you ready?
Go for it.
The fan I'm dating is sitting in the front row right there with the beautiful long strawberry blonde hair.
That is true. I can't compete.
So I'm just saying. No, I used to say, I have had some of the most incredible experiences of my life. I have some really sad ones. I don't know, should we tell sad? Does anybody want a sad fan?
Yeah, let's depress this audience.
Do you want to be a little bit depressed? Do you want the happiness? Raise a hand for happy. Okay, raise a hand for sad. What is wrong with you people?
Everybody raise their hand on sad.
Break some
No.
hearts. She cried.
Let's do this.
Okay, so I used to have a P.O. box, which is just a great place that people send you dildos. Now, I learned that right away. You're gonna get a lot of embarrassing adult toys. Also, somebody sent me a box of crap once. That was neat. The internet likes to troll, but I got some incredibly sweet memorabilia. I got handcrafted statues, fan art. Just my house is filled with it. You watch my videos, you'll see the background of all my videos is some of the just incredible stuff fans have made me throughout the years. They're my most prized possession. There's no video game or collectible that could ever top something some kid drew one day, just because he watched my video and liked it, So one day, I'm getting real close to being done with the P.O. box. This is overwhelming. And I crack open a letter, and these photos of kids fall out of it. So I read this letter, and here's what the letter says. Are you ready to be depressed? You better have a story to lift the mood after this one, Adam.
Hey, let's go!
Okay. So the letter says, I saw your video on suicide. And I'm proud to say that video got demonetized right away and has still circulated, and I've heard lots of people say that they chose to stick it out because they saw that video and it helped them. God bless, it makes me so happy, right? This lady had said that there was a house fire. She woke up in the middle of a house fire and her husband got her out, then went back in to get the kids, and nobody else made it out alive, not him or the kids. So she saw my video on suicide and decided to stick it out. And 6 months more she lived and decided that she couldn't do it anymore. And so she had written that letter as her goodbye and sent photos of her kids so that someone could remember her kids when she was gone. And it broke me. I mean, it broke me. Now, those photos are still in my home right now. I know exactly where they are. I can show them to you today. But I think the reason I'm telling you this story is to say, I know that we really have a strong impact, and I try to be very careful with that impact as a content creator. I mean, obviously larger content creators like PewDiePie calls the apocalypse, right? And Markiplier has saved more lives than I could possibly count in a lifetime, and people with a much bigger reach than I'll ever had have made a big impact. But I know we make an impact on your life, and I'm proud of that, and I'm so grateful that you guys share that with us. So positive or negative, whether you love us or you hate us as content creators, and I'm just always so glad to be part of your life. There's no such thing as ultimately a bad interaction, because I don't know, art is meant to provoke and evoke a feeling, right?
Yeah.
And provoke emotion, and whether that emotion for you is happiness or hate, I'm just glad people are talking.
Yeah, I mean, he's right. Over the years, I've definitely encountered people who are like, hey, your videos helped me through tough times because I was going to commit suicide and this stuff. And you don't expect it because you're like, I'm cleaning a GameCube. I don't know why that would help you, but there are people who are like, yes, that, I see that as an ASMR thing. I feel like someone's in the room. I feel like someone cares, and they feel stronger about themselves. The closest thing I have to that on the flip side, it's a positive story. So I was at Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee a few months ago, and I'm walking through the main hall, and this girl stops me. She's like, "Oh my God, he's here!" And she looks over at another girl. She's like, "He's here, he's here!" Right? Why am I here? I don't know. It's so exciting. And she basically tells us, she's like, "Hey, this woman and I, we used to watch your videos a lot, and it inspired us to start this business." And she's showing me the table, because you clean stuff, and then we got into that, and I started working on things, and we got a business together. And then because we were spending so much time with each other, we realized we had a lot going on. We got married because of you. And I was like, for cleaning a GameCube, you got married? Like, hey, all right, why not? Positives can come out of the same thing. So I would say we don't I'm not gonna say we don't try to help, we do, but not in that way. You just be surprised what kind of ripples that you can have that are positive through that. I know that I'm sure over the years you've had people come up and say like, hey, you saved their life through the content. Usually like Francis or something, it just gave them a laugh, and that's what they need at that point in time.
You know what I always say to people when I hear that though, and I want everybody to remember this, if you will, okay? Like, the media that I've consumed, whether it's content creators that I've enjoyed, or books or music or games, or whatever, they've certainly helped, right? But like, you're the hero in your story. Do you understand that? Nobody else is the hero in your story. You are the hero. You're the main character, right? Markiplier helped, and I'm glad he helped, but you are the one who saved your life. You're the one who wakes up every day, puts on clothes, goes to work, takes care of yourself, takes care of your friends and family. Like, never, ever, 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 ever give anybody else that credit. Never. I mean, it's nice to hear. I'm glad that some of us can help a little bit along the way, but never forget, you are the hero in your story. I'm proud of you guys. It's awesome. Love that.
I agree with that.
I agree.
It would be cool if you disagreed. You're like, nah,
No,
you
I
suck.
did it.
No, it's Markiplier.
Me. No.
How about, any questions back
What else
there?
we got? Go for it.
What in your opinion was the most underrated game you first thought of and then went back and thought it was great?
Shenmue. The first time I played that game when it came out, I thought it was just like this stupid walking simulator, and then I was like, it's good, you can go to this arcade, great, I'm gonna play all my time in there. A few more years of maturity, I try it again, totally changes my life, I realize it's the greatest game ever made, to the point where eventually, after I was making videos about it for years, like Sega got in contact with me directly, and they're like, hey, we want to talk to you, can you sign an NDA? I'm like, you're re-releasing Shenmue. They're like, please sign this NDA, we can't say anything to that. And I was like, you're fucking doing it, aren't you? And they're like, please sign this. So like, I clearly got it right. And then, yeah, they brought me out to Japan a couple of times, and we did tours in Yokosuka, like where the game takes place. Like, that game was a transformative experience for me. Which is funny, if you watch that video, there was a video on Sega's channel about, oh, we're gonna show Adam about, all the areas in Japan where it takes place. But they didn't know I had been there like 4 times. And they had, the team we went with had never been there. So it ends up being me showing them everything and then them coming off like they're showing me everything. But yeah, the thing is, it is okay to be a super fan of something like that, to be passionate about something like that, to share that passion, be positive about it. And even if it's like this cause, like Shenmue was, where it was like, oh, you're not going to see this game again. It's been 18 years, it's over. You fight that. If it ever comes back, you're the guy. And so all the positives that come of that, we did get our Shenmue 3. Stick to your guns, stick to your dreams, try to make things happen even when they seem down. You can make things positive happen, and you can affect real change in the world. And I know that we did that with not only the re-release of that, but pushing forward with Shenmue 3 and everything that was with that. It was just, it doesn't take a whole lot to actually start making changes like that. You just get a ball rolling.
My story is way less inspiring. So there's a little game that came out last year, you might have heard of it, it's called Elden Ring. Anybody heard of that game? So all my friends were like, Elden Ring. I'm like, I guess I'll have to buy it just so I can talk to my friends next month. So I pop it in and I play it for a little while. I get through the little tutorial area, and then I go up front and there's this giant horse guy, and I'm like, oh cool, the first tutorial boss. He is not the tutorial boss, he is the pound you into the ground boss. He is there to destroy hopes and dreams. And so then I'm like, all right, I guess I run away from this. I don't know what I'm doing. So I kind of go off into the left, and I kill a handful of animals, and one of them kills me, and I kill a handful of guards, and the guards kill me, and I find a cave, and I'm like, well, there's a cave right near the entrance. Of course, that's got to be like an intro dungeon, right? So I go into the cave, and downstairs at the bottom of the cave is a werewolf guy, and he kills me. And I try again, and he kills me. Kills me, and then at one point I realized he killed me like 30 times, and I was ready to throw my controller like Francis does. And I'm like, you know what, these games are not for me. I hate everything about this. I'm done. So 4 days pass, and my friends come over on our Saturday Night Magic the Gathering thing, and they're like, oh, Elden Ring this and Elden Ring that, and I'm salty, I'm mad about it. And I'm like, what do you guys like about that stupid game? And they're like, what's really fun? And I'm like, and you think it's fun to try to fight the same boss 30 times in a row and die over and over again? Just trying to crap on their parade. And they're like, boot up the game and show us what you're doing. So I boot up the game, and they're like, you're playing it wrong. I'm like, how do you play a game wrong? I'm the game player. My friend grabs the controller, kills the werewolf boss in like 3 hits. And they try to teach me how to play it, and I just keep getting madder because they're good at it. I know I never will be. So I uninstall it. Well, one of my favorite channels on YouTube is a channel called Girlfriend Reviews. Does anybody know this channel? It's about a girlfriend who watches her boyfriend play games. It's a really unique concept. I highly recommend it. In this particular case, the girlfriend was the one that played Elden Ring. And she described how she played it. She said, I went against my first boss and I lost. So I decided to explore. And I found things I could kill. And then I killed them. And then I came back and whipped that boss's ass. And I'm like, oh. So I'm the asshole. So I plugged it back in, I reinstalled it, I played it like Shelby did, the girlfriend from Girlfriend Reviews, and I just explored an incredibly beautiful and detailed and wonderful game. Went and leveled up. Like, I'd forgotten that mechanic, the Final Fantasy mechanic where you're not ready for this area, leave the area, go level up, come back and beat the area. How did I forget that? I rediscovered that joy in Elden Ring, and it is now arguably in my top 10 games of all time. I did recently decide to go play it again in hopes that the DLC is coming out soon, and I thought, man, I'll be ready for it. That werewolf boss kicked my ass again. I got bad at it over the years, so I'm gonna have to just go. But yeah, that's my. I hate being the guy that yucks other people's yums, right? Because there's even if it's not for me, it's for somebody. But that was one of those cases. I just took a giant diarrhea dump in my own house over that guy, and now it's one of my favorites. Good question, thank you.
Before we go to the next one, I'm going to embarrass somebody. If everybody could look to the right, you will see a guy sitting on the ground right there in a yellow shirt. That is the Chuck Shaw who, is responsible for the whole con. Just want to say thank you, dude. Give him a round of applause. Mogamecon would not happen without this man. And the other one is Jake. He's whatever. If you've ever watched Beavis and Butthead, you got Beavis right there. I know. No, he's awesome. He's a really nice guy.
Wait, what's his name?
Jake and Chuck.
Cham?
Yeah, Cham. That's Cham.
Cham?
Cham. You missed the whole bit where he couldn't bet that I knew who ran this, and I immediately just cha-cha. Anyway, we have I think about 10 minutes or so. I think we're power round if he's got more questions.
I'll give it for 10 minutes left. All right, we're gonna freestyle rap. Here we go. Ready?
I have no musical talent. None. I know less than nothing about music, dude.
Lightning
I'm
round.
glad I knew the word rap even meant that.
Lightning round. Okay, Chuck, you got a question for us?
DJ Boogie.
Anybody got quick, rapid fire questions? Anybody raise your hand? Raise your hand. Anything that comes to mind. You, sir.
Because of comedy. So the question is, and he's being very sarcastic, why do I like the Casio Loopy and the Bandai Playdia as much as I do the Sega Dreamcast? The real answer is obviously I don't, but the comedic answer is that the Playdia to me is hilarious that ever got made. I don't know if you know, Bandai, the company that makes like Gundams and stuff, they briefly got into video games in Japan, and they made like one of the worst systems of all time because it's essentially a VCD player with its own unique format. It just plays like movies and kids could watch it, but the only thing that's interesting about it is that like if you ever watch, you seem like an anime guy, you'd probably like Dragon Ball Z.
Old school stuff.
Alright, see.
Oh my goddess or die. Tenchi Rama 1/2.
So there's like exclusive episodes of Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon and stuff just for this machine. So I don't care about any of that, but I find it kind of fascinating. The Loopy, though, is history's greatest console, as everyone knows, because it had a printer attached to it. Yeah, exactly. Actually, the real thing is Casio, like the watch company, they made a system in Japan only specifically marketed towards little girls. Yeah, for real. And it has a sticker printer and stuff on it. You're supposed to play with these like, you know, all these like text adventure type of games that have images and stuff, and you're just supposed to print things you find are pretty.
Why does that have to be for little girls? I like stickers.
Right, well here's the thing. So I made a video basically saying, because that's the truth, that's why they made it. And like, there were some people who got really mad at me over there. They're like, you're saying only women can like it and that women should like it. I'm like, I didn't make it. This is the history of the system.
Like the history of Pac-Man. You know the history of Pac-Man?
No, please tell us.
Okay, so let me be autistic for a second. So Pac-Man was invented for sexist reasons, which is just hilarious to me. But they were taking a look at arcades in Japan and realizing that there were mostly dudes in arcades, and they wanted to design video games for women. And so the designer of Pac-Man is sitting there thinking to himself one day, he's like, what do women like? And his answer was, of course, well, we all know women love food. So, like men, we hate food. It's only women that like
never
food,
eaten before,
right?
to be fair to you.
But he's like, I'll make a game about eating because women like eating. Also, every other human, but whatever. And then he was looking at a slice.
Don't assume my stomach.
He was looking at a pizza, and the pizza had a slice taken out of it. He was like, that's a really cool shape. I'll make a game about that. Now, I know how stories become legends and legends become stories. God, I hope that's just a legend. I hope that is not
I've never heard that story,
really
but
happened.
could
But
be.
hey, Game Historian Norm, anybody watch the Game Historian on YouTube? Game Historian Norm, that's his version of it, and I trust Norm.
He lives in this state.
He's a great guy.
And he's a good guy.
Let's go hang with Norm.
Okay. He's on the other side of the state though. He's in Kansas.
Shit.
What is it with this state? Like, it's like you built both your cities right on the edge, like you're both trying to escape. You notice that?
They are.
Okay, that's fair. Anything else? Any other question? I'll go for it.
If you could play a game again for the very first time, what would it be?
Oh.
Like forgetting everything and going to it without anything having on.
I already know this answer. I wish there was a button I could press once, because I go back and play it once a year anyway. I wish there was a button I could press so that I could forget how good Breath of the Wild is and play it again every year for the rest of my life. Because that wrecked me. Oh, God, that game was so good.
It's probably not a conventional answer, but I would actually go with Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah.
I love that game. But like, I've
Yeah.
played it so many times that it's like I'm not even interested anymore. But I remember playing it those first few times and being like, I love this. You would think it would be something like Shenmue or whatever. No, but I want to remember that. Sonic Adventure, I just the first one, I just wish I could experience that for the first time again. And that's unconventional, I'm aware. All right.
Do you know Kenny Omega? Anybody know who Kenny Omega is, the wrestler? Yeah, you seem like you would know.
You seem like a lucha.
Yeah, I know.
He's got like that alternative wrestling league that came up a few years ago. I think COVID knocked him down a few pegs, but he plays. Oh, what is the game? Mother 2. What do we call him? Earthbound.
Yeah.
Earthbound.
He plays Earthbound every year, and tries for like a different ending every year, and that and Chrono Trigger. Those are his two favorite games. And it's just for some reason I think it's so interesting that there's like this buff, like steroided out, roided wrestler like, I'll play Earthbound today, brother.
You never really know what people's gaming tastes are going to be just based on the way they look.
You look like a Sonic guy.
Sort of.
Do I look like a Pac-Man guy?
I mean, you said it. That's brings a bias in my mind, unfortunately.
Any other questions?
Although I did judge you as an anime guy, and apparently I kind of got that right.
You know, here's the thing. Who's an anime person in this room? Raise your hand if you like anime. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Like 110%, you like what you like. Nobody's here to yuck you on. But I started watching anime. I have a roommate who, this is being recorded, if you ever see this chat, I'm sorry. I have a roommate who is introvert, for certain. And I'm always looking for ways to bond with him. And one day he's like, have you ever watched a little television show called Ron the One Half? And I'm like, no, never heard of it, because it's about a boy who becomes a girl when he's wet. And when his dad gets wet, he becomes a panda. And I'm like, shit, I don't know, man. If you're interested in it, we'll watch it. I love Ron the One Half. And then he introduced me to Tenchi Muyo, and then Oh My Goddess, and a bunch of the classic, incredible stuff. We went to the only one of 2 road trips I've got this man to go on in the 25 years I've known him. We went to an anime convention in Dallas, Texas called A-Con, which I think they still do. It's a really good con. And we went solely to go sit in the watch room to see stuff that we couldn't see in the United States yet. And then he set me down in front of a thing called Ghost in the Shell when it finally came to the United States. And it broke me. It's the best piece of anime I've ever seen. And then everything I've watched since then, I'm like, this ain't Ghost in the Shell though. And like, I try to watch all of this newer stuff, but so much of it's about like fighting and like, not even the fighting, but it's like talking about the fighting, like, ooh, in a minute I'm gonna beat the hell out of you, well in a minute I'm gonna beat you back, but oh, you just hit me, well in a minute I'm gonna hit you, you know? And that for me, just, I heard a really good show though, I'm thinking about watching it. Do you recommend it? One Piece, has anybody here watched One Piece? Apparently there's about 1,200 episodes, that's not an exaggeration. Here's why I wanna watch it. One day my roommate comes into my room and he's like, hey man, have you ever heard of this show called One Piece? And I said, no. I said, well, it's a world where if you eat a fruit, you gain the powers of that fruit forever. For example, the main character, he ate stretchy fruit, so he's kind of like Mr. Fantastic, you know, he's got stretch powers. I said, that's cool. He's like, yeah, there's a gun that ate the dog fruit, so now that gun can turn into a dog. And I said, no, Jack, you're confused. You mean a dog ate the gun fruit and can turn into a gun? And he said, I know what I fucking said. If that is true, how are we not all watching One Piece? Am I right? Have you watched One Piece?
No, I don't watch anime. What happens if you eat a fruit salad?
You gain all the powers, you become Superman.
Okay.
Yeah!
All right. I think we have time for one last question and then we have to bounce. So who wants to do it? Who wants to be the finale? Go for it.
Yes, sir.
Smart for Adam, but do you like Wisconsin or Illinois better?
Illinois, I'm from there. What kind of question is that?
Boo!
What, you decide with Wisconsin?
Cheese curds, cheese curds, cheese
I like cheese
curds, cheese curds, cheese curds, cheese curds.
Oh, you all joined the table.
Now go ahead. I'm glad you respected the time on that.
Could you imagine if I forgot that was never actually true?
That would be bad because that $1 million you owe me would be real now.
Ooh, man.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming on out. We appreciate you. Thank you for supporting Mogamecon, and hopefully you guys all come back here next year. I see a lot of familiar faces that I'm sure will.
Thanks for having me, Cham.
Yeah.
So
Cham.
name.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chuck.
Shaw.
Thanks for
It's like the most American name possible.